really wanted to be straight. Hey guys, my name's Bluenbroke and welcome to my YouTube channel. I put a poll out, by a landslide you guys voted for the coming out story, so I'll get straight into it. One thing I want to add here is a little disclaimer that this is my own story and my own feelings. It doesn't reflect who you are, how you identify, it's just my own path that I went on. I'm happy to share it with you guys, but just because I felt a certain way about something doesn't mean that's how you're gonna feel about it too. When did I realise? Because that is like the most common question in coming out. I am one of those very typical people, and I have to say it's one of those things that I've kind of always known. Reflecting and looking back at my own photos and my own story, it's very obvious from the get-go. I mean, I first cut my hair when I was like 10. And I was very out of place in everything I did. Growing up, I was presented really masculine for a young kid. I wanted to shop in the boys section 24/7, mainly because, you know, their trousers have pockets and for some reasons girls don't. I wanted to hang out with the guys and play football. I spent every lunch break growing up playing football with all the boys. And I didn't really resonate or care for the girly stuff that was going on. And I found it very hard to maintain long-term friendships with girls. Just because I felt like we didn't have any commonalities to anything. When I was younger, I did get bullied quite a lot. Looking back on it now, it's quite sad because it's very obvious as to why, but at the time I couldn't understand for the life of me why I was being picked on. But I was very much the odd one out looking at those pictures. I look very different to the average girl in the class, so I definitely did experience my fair share of bullying, which I'm not gonna lie, does still affect me to this day. I've come a long way since then of who I am and understanding myself and accepting myself, which has taken a lot for me. It's not something that happens overnight. We're in a much better place now. I think through primary school kind of times, it's hard to say, you know, I felt gay at the age of, you know, 9, because I don't think that's really how it works. I think that kind of age, you don't really like anyone at that point. Like, fair enough if you did, that's your own experience, but I didn't really like anyone, so it was hard for me to say in those kind of ages if I was gay. It's just looking back at the history of myself, definitely was presenting fruity way. I still could have grown up and been straight, doing all of those things, but those would just be the first signs if I'm looking back on my own story. I think the next chapter for me is when you go into like secondary school. Your friends start dating people, everyone starts liking each other and having crushes on each other. My secondary school chapter is actually a bit mental. I actually am sorry for anyone who knew me in secondary school, because the way I handled myself was just not okay. I was all over the place. Started to make friends with girls and make friends more generally. Topics arise. Oh, who's your crush? Which boy do you like? And I remember very distinctly having to sit there and think about who's the most popular boy. Probably should like him. Literally mapping out and planning my crushes because feelings weren't there for me. So in order to kind of fit into the social norms, I do remember fabricating people that I like. I think that's quite normal to do at that young age, as in a sense of you'll do anything to fit in. I'm 23 now. 10 years ago, definitely the internet was a much smaller place. The knowledge of the community and having a community around you was definitely a harder thing to do. I didn't even really know what being gay was. I got to the point where I started to just say that I like guys and all of that, but then it just kind of went downhill from there. So my history of dating men has definitely got to be one that's a bit of a shambles. I really wanted to be straight. I really wanted to have what all the other girls wanted or had. I wanted to be normal. I can't even tell you how many guys I dated. It is so bad. I look back on it and I kind of understand why. Like, I was just trying my hardest to feel something. If you are one of those guys watching, I am really, really sorry for that period of my life. If I could go back and change it, I 100% would. It was mental. I would date a guy for like 2-3 weeks and then hop on to the next one, that try with them, be like, okay, I can't feel something, you know, it's not working for me. I've tried to kiss them, I've tried all this stuff. That sounded really bad. I was young relationship, so, you know, I tried holding hands, I tried kissing them and giving them a hug, and that kind of spark, that feeling that everyone else describing wasn't there. The next thing for me to do was to go to the next guy. Maybe the feeling will come there. I just consistently felt numb. One thing I know and understand now is that male validation is still a very big thing, even in a lesbian life. We're brought up with that women are here to serve men, look appealing for a male gaze and everything like that. I think even though I was gay, I was thriving off the male validation that people found me attractive. That's something I don't really hear anyone else talk about. Being a gay woman and still needing male validation is a real thing, because social constructs have just painted that path love for us. Even though that is becoming less of a thing in this day and age in 2022, even though I didn't like the guy, I liked the fact that he liked me. And I feel like it's just such an unspoken about thing in the community. Like, going back to that is kind of why I kept dating guys. I was feeling them, I was enjoying the male validation, so I just didn't know who I was. Without the education behind me of understanding what those possibilities of who I could be, just went from guy to guy, thinking I was straight and I just hadn't found the one. Starting to kind of question myself in secondary school when, you know, after 5 or 6 boyfriends and I still not feeling anything, I did eventually take to the internet. The internet was such a smaller thing even 10 years ago, but I definitely took to YouTube itself. Sounds really dodgy for like girls kissing on YouTube, red flag. Definitely following the lives of lesbian bloggers was my entire life for like 3 or 4 years, you know. I lived my straight life at school and I'd come home, laptop out, look up how like Rose and Rosie's doing TV and someone else, to have like this catalogue of lesbian content that I would come home and watch. It was my first eye-opening into what life could be and how it should feel to love someone. So yeah, I definitely took to the internet by storm. I realised there was beginning to be a hub of information about it. Down the typical "are you gay?" tests on BuzzFeed, and also a lot of my time on Tumblr back in the day. Who even remembers Tumblr now? Do you use Tumblr? I think I've switched mine on for years. My Tumblr URL was I'm as straight as a circle at tumblr.com. Red flag. At this point, I didn't even really fully understand myself, but clearly I did if I had that URL. Definitely on that gay FYP kind of side, or I felt like I'd found my home in that space. It sounds really weird, but that's where I truly started to find myself, by connecting with people outside of my tiny village who were telling me it is okay to be gay and these feelings are normal. Has this happened to you? That gay awakening was finding Tumblr. But it's just so weird because it's like living 2 parallel lives. I was my straight at school, that's who I was, and then I would come home, connect with people who I don't think I speak to anymore, but felt like my real friends, who really understand who I was and the real me. That I was struggling to identify the real me, because at that time I didn't label myself as gay or lesbian or anything like that. I was just me. Really had an interest in women on women relationships. I think it felt very weird living these like kind of Hannah Montana life. I'd have so much support in the evenings, I'd watch and normalise like lesbian relationships, and then I'd go to school and be straight. It was like the opposite. It was like reality hit me every day. That I felt like I had no choice but to stay in the closet for a good while. I don't know anyone else that's gay. I grew up like every single influence around me is straight. It's a straight family, it's a straight couple, straight advertisement. Like, not a problem, but it just meant growing up I felt completely alone. I genuinely thought it wasn't normal and it wasn't okay. It kind of got to a point with me where I can't keep doing this, i.e. I can't keep dating men and just lying, being in 2 different worlds. So I eventually did come out as bisexual at school, in a very slow process, telling one person, a rumour spread, and I kind of knew when I first told that first person that, you know, it's not going to be the only person who knows after this. That's just how high school works. Kind of spread that I was bisexual. I have to be honest, especially in that day and age, it wasn't that negatively interpreted. Like, I didn't have people coming up to me with like slurs and being nasty specifically about that. I did have people say that it was attention seeking, or that like, you know, I dated so many guys I'd run out of them now and I needed to go into girls, which was like the nastier element of it. Image started to change, and who I was and who I outwardly was to everyone. Genuinely did think I was bisexual, like maybe the attraction to men would come and I just haven't found the right one yet. I did date one girl in school, and that was the only lesbian relationship I think anyone's ever seen at that school. I started to really experiment with my style when it got to like year 11. Like, I just stopped wearing skirts. I was like, I'm not that person. I don't like wearing them. I don't feel comfortable. Wear kind of the boys' clothes. In year 11 I decided to cut my hair short again. Since year 11 I have not gone back. I've had short hair consistently for like, what? Hell, I'm old. For like the last 7 years, 8 years. Overall, it wasn't a bad experience coming out as bi. Over time, have lost a lot of people because of it, but do you know what? I think that when you lose someone because of something like your sexuality, they weren't meant to be in your life in the first place. Ultimately, they are just leaving that chair empty for the next person to walk in and take that seat, who's going to accept you for exactly the way you are. The last thing I'll probably talk about today is just my prom. At this point when I got to prom, I was just gone through so much with my sexuality. I was like, I actually don't care anymore. I am just gonna do what I want. You know what, if I lose people, I lose people. People are gonna hate on you regardless of what you do, so you might as well just do what you do. Sounds mental, but I definitely got into that mindset towards prom, like pinnacle moment in my coming out story, I think. But I still thought that I would probably wear a dress to prom, want to fit in a little bit more. Actually came to prom coming round, decided to go all out there, and I swear I just dressed as a walking candy steak. I dyed my hair candy floss pink and then got a matching suit with that, so it was quite a statement piece. I wore high heels with it as well. That was just me fighting myself. Like, I don't like wearing high heels, but it's like, it's got some form of feminine energy to it. I walked into that prom a different person. The biggest coming out days of my life, because so clear that maybe I shouldn't be in the closet anymore. I definitely looked out of place compared to the other girls who went to prom, but you know what, like I said, people are gonna hate on you, so you might as well do what you want. And that was the most comfortable I think I've ever been in a social setting, what I'm wearing and how I look. I'm proud of myself, my prom moment. That was the basis of where my coming out started, giving you a bit of an overview of my growing up with it. I'm definitely going to need to do a part 2 on this, where I talk about going to college and really finding myself and finding my people, experimenting with my style, my starting to date girls, how to know that girls liked me or if I liked them, feelings that were different to what I'd experienced in straight relationships, experimenting journey. Plenty more to go on this topic. Make sure you give me a big thumbs up if you like this one, and if you're ready for part 2 to come out next week. Big moments in my life where I really understood who I was. Yeah, thank you so much for watching today. Make sure and leave a comment below of what you'd like to see the following week, because like I said, I'm open to your suggestions. This was your idea. We've got ourselves to 100k subscribers today, and when I'm filming this is the day that I reached 100,000 subscribers, so that is absolutely mental. Chuck it in the comments. I want to hear your coming out stories and where you are within your journey. We're trying to build a community here, get to know each other, subscribe to each other's channel. Back here next week all together for another video. You must subscribe. Do it now.